What's going on, everybody? Jeff here. Welcome back to the channel. Big relief today after a few days of selling off. I said in yesterday's video that any indication that the troops were going to back off from the Ukrainian border, the market was going to get a bounce, and we did get that and more today. AMC above 1950. We have more 13F filings coming in. I want to go over a few of those with you and just talk about the overall strength of the market. Let's get right into it. First off, as you can see, once the issues and tensions really started to rise, the market was in pullback zone. I've mentioned a few times before to pay attention to the VIX, ticker VIX. It's a fear and volatility index. 29 and 26 were key levels, okay, that the VIX was really holding on to that support. Once we broke through 29 yesterday, got through 26 today. It retested it a little bit, still bouncing off of that, but we closed lower than. It was a really good sign for us going forward. I also will mention, if you look here on our daily chart, we're starting to see that W formation really coming into fruition, okay? So we bounced off that 200-day moving average. Not going to say we're going to get a straight shot back up to that 459 to 464 level that I just personally have a belief that we are going to retest. If we do see more downside on a longer time frame, I still feel like we need to really knock out and test those levels and get rejected before we can see more to the downside. Now, when it comes to the Federal Reserve, when it comes to raising interest rates, their tone is starting to change just a little bit when it comes to inflation. And as you know, the inflation went from not a problem to it's not really a problem to it's going to be transitory to then it's a problem to then it's actually worse than we expected. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown when it comes to the ramping. Okay, it's really starting to I don't want to say plateau because we're not yet at a plateau, but the percentage of increase is getting to be smaller and smaller. So already with that said, and as we are getting closer to that March FOMC meeting, okay, after Monday's emergency Fed meeting, there was no emergency interest rate hike. Investors are starting to price this in to see how markets will react. And going based on history, markets actually do react well when this is done properly. So keep that in mind going forward. I still haven't gone back yet to building that big long-term portfolio. You have to remember, I know some people have reached out and asked me about that. You have to remember, we've come a long way since the bottom of March in 2020, and it's okay to be able to take some profits, let some volatility get in there. Okay, play the volatility on the intraday. All right, the group is doing, a lot of people in the group are doing phenomenal with the options plays, and even just this is a good time to learn on how markets work. It's very choppy so far in 2022, and it's okay to just take a step back, continue to learn, evaluate. All right, learn different strategies. And then when the market still wants to show you a solid direction, because as you can see, since 2022 started, it's really just choppiness. But once it really starts to give you a good direction, then you can comfortably start to build a long-term portfolio, whether it's to the upside, all right, or bring it down in dollar cost average, okay, which will eventually bring it to the upside because naturally stocks move to the upside. So, but let's get into AMC. AMC had a great day today, even on a little bit of the pullbacks from the entire markets. AMC just held strong. If you look at SPY and QQQ, all right, it did not, ramp up towards the end, which was good. Now, a lot of the 13F filings have rolled in, all right, and the number that we still see so far from Market Beat, which they just take the 13F filings, kind of add it all up together. We have 153 million bought and 43 million sold. All right, people have asked me, well, what about the massive blocks that Vanguard and BlackRock, okay, had purchased? So those are 13G filings, not the 13F filings. And I just don't think Market Beat includes that into that number going forward. But as you can see, there still is buying and a lot of holding from institutions, okay? And you do have some massive changes, all right, such as Jane Street Group. This was a 837% change to the upside, all right? And a lot of ones that have closed out some of their positions, they're still holding. It's not a majority, okay? You even look at Barclays, which is included or increased their position about 60% going forward. Not going to count the options because they're playing both sides of it in order to capture some of that volatility, especially with the IV, which will probably start ramping up as the price starts to go higher. But this is going to be a pretty final number. I believe either today or tomorrow is the last day of that deadline going forward. Now, I know some of you think to yourselves and say, oh, well, they lend out shares. Listen, the share lending in order for retail or funds to be able to short the stocks is going to happen whether institutions own or whether they don't own. But here's the powerful maneuver of, about institutions owning. Okay, is that one, they can help control the price better. All right. If somebody has a massive, and I said this about that 1850 level, all right, if you look at Vanguard and BlackRock, they have capital on the side to be able to hold that price. Okay. And if they are going to want to protect their positions, one thing you never see institutions doing, and it was brought to my attention again, somebody said it, is that you never see them chasing. Okay. And you also see them, trading around their core and managing their positions very solely. So there is an old saying in the stock market, and I know things are a little bit different because we do have shady funds. Okay. But talking from an overall, picture, you always want to follow the big money because one, they're able to protect their positions better and they happen to know things a little bit quicker than retail. So guys, that is going to be it for this video. I'm going to continue to cover this. We still have some amazing earnings, Roblox, Upstart, and Airbnb all posted. So expect the volatility to continue. If you do want to learn a little bit more about trading options or just reading charts, guys, first link in the description. There's a ton of information on there. So come check it out. I'll see you in the next one.